every Championship club's most expensive summer signing ranked from worst to best. Let's go. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. As we're now halfway through this season and we are now into the January transfer window, I thought that now would be a good time to reflect on the last summer transfer window. We're going to be going over every Championship club and their biggest signing from the summer, so who you paid the most money for, and we're going to be putting them into a bit of a list, ranking them from worst to best in my opinion so far. But nevertheless, I thought this one would be a bit of fun. Before we do jump into anything though, I must give a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. So if you've not already, now is a better time than ever to go ahead and check out the OneFootball app in the link down below. If you want to get live updates to your phone whenever a goal goes in around the footballing world, OneFootball's the place to be. Look at all the recent stats of players from your club and also read up on all the latest gossip going around in the transfer rumour mill as well. So stay on top of all of that with OneFootball, link down below. And without any further ado, let's jump into this one. So we're going to be starting out at worst and making our way up to best. So starting out at the bottom of the pile, coming in 24th position, we're going to have Bristol City's Joe Williams. Now, he sort of gets this place by default really because he's yet to actually make his debut for Bristol City. He's been injured all season so far. He's the only player who we're going to talk about on today's list who's yet to make an appearance so far this season as well. So we've got nothing to really judge him on so far. Now, the signing in general, I don't think is too bad. I quite like Joe Williams as a player for Wigan last season. I thought he improved drastically as the season went on. Sheerly for the fact that we've just not seen him play for Bristol City so far this season, he's got to come in at the bottom of the pile. 23rd place to another signing that's not really worked out so far. That's Jacob Brown's move to Stoke City, moving over from Barnsley. Now, initially I quite liked this deal last season for Barnsley. I thought he was one of their most efficient players going forward. 9 assists for that Barnsley side last season, sort of transitioned from a winger into a striker, which is the position that he's been playing a lot for Stoke so far this season. But him and Vokes up front together, it's not a pretty sight. He's only 22 years old, so there's clearly still a player to work with there, but at this current point in time, the deal hasn't quite worked out for just shy of £2 million as well. 22nd place, we're going to have Watford's Stippy Parisha, another player who sort of gets this place in the list by default, really, just for the fact that he's really not played a lot of football so far this season. Vladimir Ivic, you had the feeling that probably wasn't the biggest fan of his. So far this season for Watford, he's just made 2 starts in the league and then 9 sub appearances. Did score a goal, which went on to be fairly important for them in that 1-1 draw they had against Bournemouth. But apart from that, his involvement in the Watford squad has been fairly limited so far. 21st position, we're going to have Bournemouth Riquelme. Obviously, Bournemouth during the summer transfer window only made a couple of loan signings, so we're going to be judging them off Riquelme, who, another player who's quite low down on today's list purely for the fact that we've just not seen enough of him so far this season. He did feature in the FA Cup game they had at the weekend. He's actually scoring that game, so we'll wait and see if he gets a little bit more action come the second half of the season. Obviously, out wide is an area where, I mean, Bournemouth have a just whole load of options in those areas, but Riquelme so far this season got a couple of goals to his name, but his game time has been fairly limited. 20th place, we're going to have Nottingham Forest Harry Arter. I don't know about you guys, but for me so far this season, I've just not seen it from him. Over the summer transfer window, Forest signed a couple of players who 2 or 3 seasons ago would have been cracking signings, but right now just seem to be shadows of the former selves. You know, Harry Arter's one. I think you can also make arguments for the likes of Knockout and Freeman as well in that category. Just the 8 starts for Arter so far this season, I don't think he's quite lived up to the hype of when he came in. 19th place, another player who it's just not clicked for so far this season is going to be Birmingham's Scott Hogan. Now, they signed him off the back of that fantastic run of form he had pre-lockdown. His goals to game ratio was absolutely unbelievable, but since signing for Birmingham on a permanent basis, it's just not happened for the striker. So far this season, goals have been quite hard to come by for Birmingham. In 13 starts and 2 sub appearances, he's just hit the back of the net twice so far. And even that wouldn't be the worst return in the world if he was offering something else. But right now for Birmingham, I'm not convinced he is. He seems very isolated whenever he's played. In 18th place, we're going to have Millwall's Mason Bennett, another player who has been in quite an isolated team going forward so far this season. Millwall really have struggled to hit the back of the net. I think that what makes Mason Bennett quite useful really is the fact that he can play in a number of different positions. And although his moments of quality have been few and far between so far this season, there have definitely been a couple instances of them. You know, that goal he scored against Bristol City was absolutely fantastic. 17th place, we're going to have James Bree of Luton Town. Now, at the time, I thought this one was a really good signing, and I do still think he'll come good for Luton. However, he's not played all too much football so far this season, primarily due to injury. He's been nursing his way back to full fitness. Played the weekend in the FA Cup, got a fantastic assist in that game. I think when he does get back fully up and going again, he will be a good addition to that squad. 16th place, we're going to have Norwich City's Jordan Hugo, another player who's not really had all too much game time so far this season. Just the 347 minutes for him in the Championship so far. Of course, myself being a Preston fan, I know all about Jordan Hugo and what he can offer, but so far this season has sort of been playing second act to Timu Pukki. He's been in fantastic form, so his chances have been quite few and far between, really. If an injury was to pop up to someone like a Timu Pukki, I think that Hugo will be quite important for Norwich in the running for them this season, but up until this point, yeah, he's probably not been utilised to his full potential so far. Another player who you could probably make that similar argument for is going to be Barnsley's Herbie Kane. He's coming in 15th on today's list. Now, for the vast majority of the season so far, Barnsley have been playing that sort of midfield two of Alex Moe and Matty James, but now with Matty James no longer being there, you'd think that Herbie Kane in the second half of this season is going to get considerably more game time. He's had his moments of quality here and there. He got an assist in the FA Cup game that Barnsley had at the weekend, but I think the second half of the season especially, he should be looking to really nail down the first team spot. In 14th place, we're going to have Wickham's Daryl Hogan. I think that each of his goal contributions have actually come against Preston so far this season, but I think he was a decent bit of business by Wickham in the summer. He gives them a bit of a different option, someone who can drive them up the pitch and looks to play it on the break. Decent right foot on him, and he can play in a variety of positions as well. 13th place, we're going to have Sheffield Wednesday's Josh Windass. It's been a bit of a hit and miss season so far for Windass, but I think he's been an alright addition to this Wednesday squad so far. He's got 3 goals for them this far into this season. Although he's probably not, I'd say, maybe as clinical as Wednesday fans would like him to be, he offers them a bit of dynamism going forward. He is that player who can stretch the back line and get in behind. The fact that they only paid around $500,000 for him as well, I think he's been an alright addition. In at the halfway point, 12th place, we're going to have Middlesbrough's Tuba Akbam, who started out the season like an absolute house on fire, and then as the season went on, he just started to fade a little bit, didn't he? 5 goal contributions for the striker so far this season, 4 goals and 1 assist. Maybe that goal and assist that he got in the Wickham game last time out will give him a bit of confidence to really spur him on for the second half of the season, because I do think there is a player there. Bro fans, let me know down below, what have you made of Akbam's impact so far? 11th place, we're going to have Preston North End's Emil Reece-Jacobson, who I think has had a really positive impact on this North End squad so far. I don't think that necessarily his goal contributions do him justice for the level of performances that he's been putting in. Most recently, he's been utilised as an impact sub, where he's found it a little bit more difficult to impact the games, but the games he has started, I think he's played quite well in. You know, whether it be winning penalties, actually fitting into the system and being able to be that pressing forward that Jayden Stockley just isn't. He's definitely had a handful of really top quality performances so far this season. I think that the more game time he gets, the more time he gets to adapt to the league, he'll only get better as a player. To the top 10, 10th place, we're going to have Camel of Derby County, another player quite similar to Emil Reece, whose goal tally so far this season probably don't represent the level of performance that he's actually been putting in for Derby so far this season. Obviously, it's been a bit of a difficult environment to go into, you know, signed by Philip Koku, he then loses his job. It's been a bit of a transitional phase that Derby are going through at the moment under Wayne Rooney, but there's been real flashes of quality from Joswiak so far this season. He's only 22 years old as well. I think he's got real quality in those wide areas. Coming in 9th place, we're going to have QPR's Rob Dickey, arriving from Oxford in the summer. A lot of championship interest in the defender, and I've been quite critical of QPR so far this season. I think there's been a lot of negatives that we've spoken about and discussed on the channel so far this season, but one real positive has been the introduction of Rob Dickey. I think he's been an absolutely fantastic signing for them. Undoubtedly, individually, Dickey comes in as a massive improvement into that back line. I think he's the sort of player from a defensive aspect that you want to build a team around. 8th place, we're going to have Blackburn Rovers' Thomas Kaminsky. After having Walton on loan there last season, Kaminsky has been an absolutely massive upgrade at Blackburn. It was the position that they were probably in need of strengthening the most during the summer transfer window, and I think they recruited really well in this area. Obviously, Andy Piers, who's been his number 2 so far this season, has had a mixed success in goal, but Kaminsky, I don't think anyone can argue, has been a real success so far. 7th place, we're going to have Huddersfield Town's Pippa. I don't think that you can underestimate, in the modern game especially, just how important a quality pair of fullbacks are. And I think that Huddersfield probably have one of the best sets of fullbacks in the league, with Harry Toffolo, who's just got an absolute load of plaudits so far this season, and rightly so. But on the other side, Pippa has been a really shrewd bit of business by Huddersfield during the summer. Under this new philosophy that they've been looking to play under Carlos Corberán, their fullbacks overlapping and getting into those forward positions have been absolutely vital for them. They need to have those qualities in the forward areas. I think that Pippa's delivered on that aspect so far this season. Coming in 6th position, we are then going to have Rotherham United's Dan Barlaser. Now, should Rotherham survive this season, Barlaser is going to be an absolutely integral figure to them. I think it was an absolutely brilliant bit of business to get him back. Obviously, they had him on loan there last season, but on a permanent basis this time from Newcastle. This may go down as one of the best signings this season, actually, and it is, you know, the reason why he's so high up on this list. He's got real quality from central midfield, 3 goals and 2 assists from that position so far this season. In the game that Preston had against Rotherham, he was absolutely brilliant. I think in this list especially, he's got to be up there. Into the top 5 we go. Coming in 5th place, we're going to have Reading's Ovie Ajari. Now, it took them a little bit of time time to get this deal over the line. Obviously, they had him on loan from Liverpool last season, but he's another player whose probably goal contributions don't really tell the story of just how good of a player Ajaria actually is, and we've probably not discussed him enough on the channel so far. You know, Elise has been the real player from Reading who's been grabbing all the headlines so far this season, but Ajaria really has gone under the radar. You know, undoubtedly one of the best dribblers in the league. We had that great battle last season, you know, the debate between who's the better number 10, Ajaria or Eze. He's dribbling, it's like he's got the ball tied to his foot with a piece of string. He's just fantastic to watch, and yeah, top signing for Reading. Fourth place, we're going to have Swansea City's Jamal. They got an absolute bargain in the summer picking him up from Wigan Athletic. I mentioned this one a couple of videos ago, but I'm so jealous that Preston didn't manage to pull this deal off, because, I mean, lately especially, he's been on a real hot streak for Swansea. 22 starts for him, 8 goals so far this season. I think he's forming that partnership with AU. We questioned at the start of the season if he was naturally a striker. You know, that's the position that he's been playing in so far this season. We thought that maybe he'd be better suited to being a winger, where he's played for the majority of his career so far, but as the months have gone on, I think he's really adapted to that role quite well. His movement's excellent, and his goals have been massively important for Swansea so far this season. Coming in third place, we're going to have Cardiff City's Kiefer Moore, another absolute bargain of the summer transfer window, another player who was picked up from Wigan Athletic. In 17 starts, he's got 8 goals and an assist for Cardiff. Really was a shame that he got injured when he did, because he was really on a hot streak of form for Cardiff, but without his goal so far this season, Cardiff would be in a whole lot of trouble, wouldn't they? I'd say he's the best target man in the league. He averages 10.7 aerial duels won per 90, which is considerably the best in the Championship. The closest to him is Akinfenwa with 9.5. His movement around the box is excellent. Actually, his finishing ability as well. So Kiefer Moore so far this season, yeah, top signing. Coming in the number 2 spot, we are then going to have Coventry City's Gustavo Hamer. I think that this one's going to go down as the bargain deal of the summer. £1.5 million they paid for him, and I think that he's already gone ahead and added to that value exponentially. If you watched my video from a couple of weeks ago, you'll have seen that I'd had him in my Championship team of the season so far. If you do get a chance to watch Coventry, Hamer's always the person who your eye's drawn to. 4 fantastic goals and an assist to go along with it as well, but that doesn't really do him justice. I made the comparison a couple of months ago to someone like a Ruben Neves. I think they're quite similar in the way they play. He does both sides of the game really well, and at only 23 years of age as well, Coventry no doubt got the bargain deal of the summer. But coming in that number 1 place, I think that most of you guys will have guessed this by now, it is going to be Ivan Toney of Brentford. 20 goal contributions in 22 appearances for Brentford is an absolutely staggering record. More goal contributions than anyone else currently playing in the Championship, and this one's just everything rolled into one really. The fact that he had the pressure on his shoulders of being that Ollie Watkins replacement, and that he immediately hit the ground running. Should Brentford be promoted this season, Ivan Toney is going to be absolutely crucial to that, and undoubtedly in my mind will go down as the best summer signing. But guys, there we have it. There was every Championship club's most expensive summer signing ranked, in my opinion, from worst to best on what we've seen of them so far this season. So do get your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you agree or disagree with where I placed your player in today's video? And if you went on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It's always massively appreciated, and do stick around for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.